My name is Ori. I am bold, brave, blunt, willing to fight, and that comes from a lot of the things that I've been through in my life. I was born in Chowchilla State Prison. My mother was fighting murder at the time when she had me. At 2 days, I was adopted by a single mother who worked 3 jobs in order to provide for me. I had a very normal childhood in the very beginning up until the age of 8 when I was molested by a family friend. By the time I was about 9.5, 10 years old, I experienced a rape, and there was no justice that was ever served. I didn't receive any counseling. My mother never had a conversation with me about it. I think it was very hard for her. So it was all these feelings of like insecurity and feeling like I don't belong, guilt and shame and dirtiness was bottling up inside. I ended up running away and met a friend. We went to this house, which was like a drug house. She left me and said, I'll be right back. In that house was a male sitting on the couch right next to me. For the first time in my life, somebody asked me, was I okay? After the rapes, after the molestation, after all the bullying, somebody finally asked me, was I okay? I told that man my life story in 30 seconds. And he didn't have to come and look for me. Like, he didn't have to come hunt like how normal traffickers do. I fell right on his doorstep. I was a kid in need. I needed shelter. I needed clothes. I needed food. And I was going to need someone to take care of me because I was only 11 years old. And I just remember this look in his eye was just like this. I got her. And he started to groom me. And then that grooming process is he was preparing me to be trafficked. And I remember just freaking out in the back seat, like scared. He got out, was yelling, why are you crying? And he hit me. I want to just go home. I want to go home. And he was just like, where are you going to go? Nobody wants you. And I believed those lies. And he grabbed me by my hair and dragged me down the street. My knees were scraping the floor. It was other women out there. Nobody did anything. When you have been forced to sleep with 7 to 15 men and be raped and be 11 years old, I was like slowly dying. And after the first night, you suppress those feelings because any inch of hope that you have, any sense of I can get out, any feeling of there's a God, any feeling of I don't deserve this, you get beat. You ain't gonna survive out there. By the time I was 12 years old, within a year, I was already raped over 4,000 times. It took me to be 4.5 years in the life until I was 15 years old for someone to finally step up and do something. And that was a man. His name is Jim Carson. And he was the first person in my life to tell me that I was a victim. It was never a choice. It's not a choice for these kids. Whether it was an influence, someone influenced them, whether it was somebody physically forced them into it. They're children whose dreams and innocence was stolen and snatched from them. Children who need someone to fight for them because they can't fight for themselves. Showing up when they don't expect you to. And saying, I care about you, I'm here for you, and I'm not giving up on you. I was starting to see what hope looked like.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being so open. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about what sex trafficking looks like. For example, a lot of people picture, the van with the dark windows and women that are chained up. But in your case, it was manipulation. At 11 years old, I remember wanting to be liked and wanting to feel like I belong. Like, that's all that man needed to show you.
A lot of times, too, a misconception is people automatically think it's somewhere else. Like, it doesn't happen here.
Yes.
It doesn't happen right here in our backyard. A lot of times, that's why we call it the invisible crime, especially nowadays because of social media.
Yes.
Like, traffickers are using social media in order to recruit young girls.
Okay, this is so important. I think a lot of parents tend to be naive when it comes to social media.
As parents, we think, not my kid.
Yes.
My kid is smart enough to not talk to a stranger. And all it takes is a click of a button, and now I'm following you. And now I'm on your page, and I'm seeing that you're a minor, and boop, now I'm in your inbox. And now we're having a dialogue and a conversation.
But also, people think it's a certain type of person. It's the dirty old man who is going to buy sex with a child. But from your experience, it's the guy you would never assume, right?
It's not. It's men who are married, men who, different professionals in the field. I've had conversations with these men after things had happened in that hotel room or in that apartment and talking about their children, talking about their wives. Like, this is a reality and what's going on. Like, it's not what we think.
So they're having sex with a child and then just kind of matter of fact telling you about their own children.
And going home right to their own family. It's crazy.
You are such an incredible example of the fact that our past doesn't have to define us. If you hadn't told me your story, I wouldn't know. You're full of life, you're vibrant, you're funny, you're gorgeous. And the fact that you've gone through this hell and you are now using it, you're working with Saving Innocence, which is an organization that is working to end sex trafficking.
Yeah. Everything I went through in life was in order to be able to help someone else. I got hired on at Saving Innocence about 1.5 years ago. So I go into the juvenile halls, the same juvenile halls I used to be at. And I get to work with the kids on prevention work. I get to be that person that I didn't have when I was a kid.
The fact that you're using all that pain that you've been through to now help others is so inspiring to me.
You can overcome anything. You know, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a victim of sex trafficking. You know, it can be divorce. It can be your kids are driving you crazy, or your kids are just trying to figure themselves out. And to know that it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
And that I can always send the elevator back down for someone and lift someone up instead of tearing someone down for what they've been through. You know, everyone has a story. We all have been through something that has affected us and has made an impact in our lives that can help someone else out.
But instead of letting that stuff define you, you are using it to help people who are walking through the hell you walk through.
Because it's just only one small part. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define us.
Do you know your worth now?
Yeah, most definitely.
Love it.
Just, you know, and every day is still such a beautiful learning moment, though. Just to be able to be a mother to my daughter and to give her this beautiful life that I didn't have, you know, like, that's a good feeling.
What would you tell 11-year-old Ori?
You know, I would tell her that you have a purpose. I want you here. I would tell her that she's strong. I would just hug her. I would just hug her so tightly and tell her I would never give up on her. I would just be there for her. Tell her, like, how much she has to offer to the world. And that she's not broken. And that she's going to change people's lives.
Thank you so much for using your story to help others. There's nothing more powerful